And we are recording with my buddy David Gosselin on Tuesday, November 7th, 2023 at 4:13 p.m. Eastern. Shit, at 4:13 p.m. Eastern time. Am I recording? Yeah, I'm recording. Um, yeah, your blog or your Substack, Age of Muses. I'm gonna make sure I put that into the description right now. And whether we oscillate back and forth, we'll start with Huxley and escaping the island and all that important writing and Terence McKenna, Food of the Gods. But we also might talk about Raymond Kump and his in-depth philosophical writings about the importance of model trains. And if you're gonna have flopping tits and asses, you gotta be conservative about it. Would you agree?
Fair.
Yeah. David,
Fair.
introduce yourself. Yeah, okay. No, I got it in the description. Yeah, I got Age of Muses in there.
You'll get to know me. They'll get to know me as we get into it.
Um, yeah, no, it's in there. Okay, yeah, guys, go in the description. Go support the good man on Substack. Don't be a fucking dirty communist. David is also dying of Fauci's new vaccine AIDS bug that I think we're all taking right up the ass right now. I feel like dog shit. You feel like dog shit. But you know, kind of on the mode of what you wrote about and psychedelics and better living through chemistry. I don't know if it's like a I don't know if it's like a nihilism or like a black pilling, or if I'm just aligning with ultimate reality more and more. But I'm kind of accepting just how important really just the chemicals of the brain are, which sounds like a pretty kind of bland, unimportant statement. But I think it really is important that just coming again, as the great Raymond Kump once said, it's better to have money than not have money. And it sounds stupid and silly, but there are some profound implications there. Instead of saying money doesn't buy happiness, like, eh, it kind of does. So, your thoughts on that? Is that a negative thing to just admit that we are meat computers, and the right chemical inputs can result in a good day, and the bad ones can result in a bad day? Is there any darkness to that, or is it just
I mean,
reality?
I think it's an aspect of reality, and if we overlook it, I've always, as a funny thought experiment, like, can you have a 300-pound saint who eats like McDonald's every day? Probably not, right? That wouldn't be a really good look if they're just sort of chowing down on junk food all day, right? So like that tells us that there's something there, but at the same time, we don't want to turn it into a religion. I think that's the right. Like, what are the eugenicists and all the radical? Sorry, blame it on Fauci. What do all these people do? Well, they turn all this stuff into a religion, right? Like, we can even see it. Bronze Age mindset. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if your audience is familiar or if you're familiar with that. Like, there's like an attempt to make fascism, like Hitler era Nazi fascism, sexy and cool. And they're just emphasizing, like, they're showing you like just average young men from the 1960s who were in shape and, like,
Yeah.
they had good builds and stuff. And yeah, people should have that today. Um, but so they're turning, or like there's the raw egg nationalist.
Yeah.
They write interesting, useful things when it comes to health, but then when you zoom out, like they're just hardcore, like, yeah, Hitler was, you're a liberal if you don't sort of like side with like Nazi eugenics. You're a liberal. You're an effeminate sort of whatever.
Soy boy. Yeah, you're a
Yeah,
beta
yeah,
cuck.
it just becomes a bunch of insults, really.
Yeah.
And like, so yeah, I think that's the problem, that yeah, we have lived in an era of abundance where people have become so soft, right? So spiritually um depraved and morally and intellectually, that yeah, they're just sort of, they are just, that's the thing, they're just what did you call them, meat machines?
Yeah. Meat computers.
They are just meat machines looking for like pleasure and to alter the chemicals, right? Or to influence the chemicals in their bodies. And that's become like the new religion, right? Whether it's like through drugs, like getting high, or through psychedelics. The more I see it, the more I start to worry because we're not getting much of the. There are dark sides, right, to all these things, like anything else. And you always got to worry when you just get like these nice, sanitized, glossy sales pitches for this stuff. But I think it just speaks to the fact that people have a yearning for something, and you need food for the body and you need food for the soul. If you don't get enough of each or one for the right thing, you're going to start looking somewhere else, and that can create all sorts of problems, right? What do you think?
Oh, I don't know. I'm trying to. It's not. It's just. I don't know why it made me laugh so much that it is true when you look at those like Twitter accounts. Yeah, it is all like lean dudes with like pronounced like deltoids and obliques, and you're like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with being lean. And then the more you start scrolling, you start seeing it's like the importance of a uniform ethno state, and you're like, oh fuck, like that kind of it gets really it does kind of go insane. But it is like it's the inverse, right? It's kind of like, to go back to Raymond Kump, it's like we are talking about with the Welcome to Hamas episode. It's like, yeah, it's like, no, he's a liberal guy. He's like, but I'm not gonna cheer on every dude that puts on a bra and makeup. Like it's not
Right.
stunning and brave. Like it's also, it doesn't, we don't need, it's like not, we don't need like a fucking 800-pound blue-haired, tranny in like heels in Disney. Like it's okay to just look at it and be like, hey man, if that's your life, go live it. But like we don't need to exalt it. The inverse is also true in that it's like you can look at it and be like, hey, you know what? It is good to be fit. It feels good. It's a good thing to promote. To
Yeah.
say that it's healthy and sexy to be overweight is objectively false. You're killing people. But it also doesn't in like three steps have to be like, and we need a grand, you know, Fuhrer basilica. It's like we don't wait, what is this? What is Germania? Wait, we don't need some weird hybrid of the Holy Roman Empire and Nazi Germany just to have abs.
Yeah. And well, that's what's funny, right? That like,
It is funny.
well, you see how this extremism stuff works, right? And again, I'm gonna be like sound like a liberal now, but
Yeah.
it's like, well, no, I'm just trying to like reject like hardcore Nazi eugenics. I don't know.
Yeah.
Can I do that without being accused of like
I don't know,
you know,
David. Let's see.
dyeing my hair blue, you know? But yeah, I just think the extremism is I guess to cure it, right? How do you cure that? We have to come to terms with I think, just people have to, yeah, we do feel a lot of young people feel like they're missing something, right? They've been robbed of something. And, but what is that something, right? And how do we get it back? Not just as individuals, but as a society, right? Like, what is Western society really lost, right? And this is where I think you get the narratives, right? Because then different people will tell you different things. Like, how did we get here? That's really the question, right? And depending on how we answer that question, well, that's really going to shape our whole outlook, right? So, this question of stories and our understanding of our own story, not in some, you know, flaky existential, it's all subjective, narrative therapy, make your own story bullshit. But to the degree we don't know our own story, our history, where we came from, like what made Western civilization good, and what were the opposing forces from within that have sought to corrupt it and have kind of like uh, done a number on things in the last few decades. To the degree we don't understand that well, yeah, you're gonna get like a lot of these alt right kids, like when they talk about like the immigration stuff, for example. When you listen to them, you think like the CIA and like the whole WASP deep state apparatus that Tim Dillon, Russ Baker, and all them talk about, you'd think it's been taken over by a couple of Nigerian migrants, right? Who are now just like taking over, and our whole country is just being taken over by, migrants. And yeah, there's some weird stuff going on here, but again, like it's the same old vampire cult, deep state stuff that is behind that was running the show in the 50s or 40s or 30s, right? Same one that put Hitler in power.
Yeah.
They can't do that, right? That blows their mind. Like, wait, you're saying like the radical leftist Bolshevik commie people and like the Nazi dog eugenicists were ultimately overseen by like some
The same.
higher. Then they'll accuse you of being a conspiracy theorist,
Yeah.
despite their like batshit crazy stuff. They're gonna say you're just like a schizoid conspiracy theorist, and you just don't accept. They go nuts, right? But this is because we don't know our history, we don't know our story, and the worse things get, the more radical we become, right? It's like, or these like religious fundamentalist folks who were total demons, in their life, demons from hell, as Tim Dillon would say. And then they're like, Jesus loving ascetics or whatnot. And it's like they've just gone so extreme. And now anybody who's not, this super righteous like person that gets high on God is just like an unrepentant sinner, right? So they're just extremes. And I guess the way I see it, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be any of those guys. And that's the start. I mean, I think that's at least the start to a journey towards wisdom. Like, let's start by what we don't want to be. Let's
Hmm.
start by identifying what it's not. Like, surely that ain't the truth. Surely that ain't the real thing. Then what is? Well, let's keep looking.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm becoming lazier or less invested, and I hope I'm not. But more and more, really, in the last probably like this year, I've become more curious at what's going on, and I have less actual emotional investment. I mean, like, no, it's not good to see, fucking terrorism, right? It's not good to see rockets going into Israel or Israel bombing hospital. Like, sure, I get it. That's bad. But I guess more and more I'm curious to just watch it. Right. I don't when I look back and you do see that kind of the people funding like the start of the Soviet Union or the Nazis, it's like it really is all the same, like couple enclaves in like upstate New York and DC that have just been kind of running shit for the last century. More and more I look at it out of just a curiosity. And instead of saying like, oh, we gotta fuck, like, okay, I'll put it like this way. I read The Jungle by Upton Sinclair this, was it, maybe this January? And it ends, and that was written, I think, in 1904, and it ends with like this long speech about how socialism's gonna fucking win on the ticket in Chicago, and you know the big owners of these companies are no longer gonna be able to stomp out the middleman, and they're going through it about how there's like these two rival meatpacking companies and how they're all invested with the U.S. military and the army, and they're pulling the strings in D.C. and New York, and they run all the rail lines, and if you really get high up there, you'll start to realize that both companies are owned by a couple of people and it's all an illusion. And now that we've figured it out, the workers will rise up, and socialism will finally free the common man. And then it finishes like this book was finished in like July 1904. And you're like, nothing has changed. And it's not like, oh, well, it's only been a couple of years. It's been a century and change, and nothing has changed. And it doesn't mean that like we shouldn't try to change it. It's just, I guess I look at it now as like, I'm less convinced that we're going to see this big romantic change in our lives of like,
Right.
the workers will be free and we'll all. No, I guess I look at it more as like, over the march of centuries, life does get better for the average person. We more If you're dirt poor now, you still have access to the internet. You have more access. Do you have access to more free information and education today as a person on welfare with a phone and the internet than the most wealthy, trust
Yeah.
fund kid did 100 years ago? You have more access to food, and you have more access to even just, air travel. So
Yeah.
I look at it as like it's not all for naught. Life does it's life is objectively better now than it was in the 1600s, 17, 18, 19. But the rate of change is so small that you're probably not going to see. You yourself can go get a raise. You can move your socioeconomic class. You can be a real, mover and shaker and fucking climb to the top of the corporate ladder and change your own personal life. But I guess I have less of like this belief that if we just get Donald Trump in office, or if Biden gets it again, and then we get AOC in there, then we're gonna fucking. I'm just like, no, like it's we're gonna keep bombing the Middle East. We're a war economy that profit off the machines of death, and the bubble's gonna keep going. America's not on the verge of collapse. It's been on the verge of collapse for the last 60, 70 years. And then we just start. I mean, like Sweden, I think yesterday bought like $4 billion of American Patriot missiles. Like fucking Sweden. Like it's like the machine is just going to march on. And if it doesn't, we'll foment war so it marches on. Nothing is on the verge of changing. And I guess I'm okay with that. Like,
Well, I mean, I think I guess it's one of those things where yes and no, like what you're saying is true. And at the same time, there are changes. And I guess we could say that about any time.
yeah.
The thing is, there's nothing new under the sun.
Hmm.
And then it's like, well, how literal do we want to interpret that? Like,
Yeah.
last I checked, like infant mortality rates, go back. Like, it's kind of funny to hear some of these, again, the kind of alt-right stuff today, where like modern man, the modern, like there's a critique of the modern world, and there are serious problems with the way things have turned out. But then it's like, well, what are the causes for that? If you ask like Ted Kaczynski, and like Bronze Age pervert, and like raw egg nationalists, what the reasons are, like, yeah, best thing we could probably do is just like blow up factories, and 4 billion people do have to die for like a better this humanity to emerge. And so yeah, like it's knowing our history, knowing our facts at these places, I think is what helps us to yeah, make those nuanced distinctions, which will determine ultimately how we think and feel. Like you said, things don't change much. Yes and no, and I guess it depends how far we want to zoom out. You know, if we're just thinking about our generations, or I mean, well, technically, if you think about our grandparents, let's say, whether they're alive or not, our grandparents that we had, yeah, the world changed quite a bit, right? Like if you think technologically, if we think all these different things, it changed quite a bit. At the same time, there's a lot of stuff that comes back, right? But then there's also like fascism and these things. But then there's also what's the higher meta story? Well, there are bad guys, right? There's the story of Western civilization, and certain things were done, certain things happened. People were fighting, trying to get to a genuine idea of what justice and beauty and freedom are, and how do we, bring our societies in line with that? What has to happen? And then there's people who would prefer the old order, right? So you have Plato, and the beginning of Western civilization. Athens is rightly known as the cradle of Western civilization. And I was reading a great article by, funny enough, her name's Cat Girl. She's on Twitter. I don't know if she has a Substack called like Anarchinomium or something. But she writes all sorts of actually like interesting articles. And one is We Are All Greeks. And she was just talking about how if you look at the literature, even of like, if you look at literature before Shakespeare or whatnot, and like how the psychological depth. Basically, the idea was that, and there was this essay that Shakespeare invented like the modern human in terms of the psychological perspectives and depths and nature of mankind and the character versus the kind of stilted stuff that you would find in a lot of literature before. But then you'd have to go back to the Greeks to see that they were actually our idea of human beings, human nature, like the Athenian culture is, you know, it you had this high capacity for abstract metaphysical thinking, but it was also very liberal and down to earth in terms of many different things. And so just to say that that happened, then you had Christianity, right? Because Athens got destroyed, Greece got destroyed, it was corrupted. That whole cycle thing, bad things happen. Christ comes because, civilization is, yeah, Western civilization was like pretty, it's all death cults. It was really just evil cults at that point. Like, whether from a religious standpoint or not, like, thank God for Christianity because the Roman, like, the evil cults, the evil priesthood that actually ran the empire. I mean, this was the worst stuff imaginable. And yeah, we're getting intimations of it now, but it was even, we're not just killing people in the streets yet. Well, we a bit are, but we're not watching it in the stadiums yet. But you know what I mean? Like, it was really it was hardcore. And and then you had the Renaissance. Now we're really doing broad strokes here, but the reason we have our modern abundance is because there was a shift. There was a leap further in that Judeo-Christian sort of Promethean spirit, where the idea was that man is in the image of the creator, therefore has access to understanding how creation is organized and works. And each of us has that spark, that ability to investigate the nature of creation. And so, with the bad guys in this Changing Images of Man paper that I've talked about, and that I talk about in my Food of the Gods piece, they identify, they say it's with the Renaissance, you got a new spirit of individuality. Like, your understanding of God or nature didn't have to be mediated through a special elect or through secret priesthoods and gnosis and mystery cults.
Yeah.
Right. Or as they're now saying, all of human consciousness goes back to the Lucian mysteries where, and before, where man ate some psychedelic mushroom, and that's when humanity first came online. So the Terence McKenna Food of the Gods thing, that consciousness is really an artifact from man first sort of like eating mushrooms that were probably from cow dung in like the grasslands of Africa. And that was the beginning of the awakening. And that has been lost in our non sort of altered states of consciousness, well adjusted modern society. But and so the idea was we have to go back to to archaic forms of civilization. So clearly, now I'm rambling, but there was a reason for the abundance, right? There was the death cults and the evil mystery priesthood, whatever cults you want to call them, were defeated, and they had to go underground, right? They had to assume sort of Christian guys and like more sort of Western, pagan mystery cult sort of facades. And they're sort of rearing their head again. And arguably, maybe they're more powerful or broader than, in their reach today than they were back then. I'm open to that when you hear about like the Pizzagate and the Podesta stuff, and like, yeah, there's some scary stuff out there.
Yeah, it's I'm not against that idea at all, that they're actually more powerful now than they've ever been. I mean, when you look at like the influence of like Greek and Roman death gods, and just the names of like the etymology, or not etymology, like what word am I looking? I don't know what word I'm looking for, just the names of shit like defense contractor projects, like the names of satellites and shit, like the names of surveillance systems where it's like Argus and like Gorgon Stare and like, it's like Osiris. Like you start to look at it and you're like, what the fuck? And then like, and it's not by accident. It's not like a random bust in the office of a CFO at Lockheed. It's like huge statues in front of the headquarters of like Grumman or like SAIC, these massive defense contractors. And you're like, isn't that like Hades? And you start to look at the shit or like the names of like these special access programs, and it's all like the names of like ancient gods of like fertility and sacrifice. And you're like, and this isn't like the name of a shotgun. It's like this is the name of like a black ops stealth bomber. And you go, is it all just edgy? This one's called Killer. Or is it like, the people that are at the echelon, at the helm, I mean, we know Bohemian Grove is real. Like, we know fucking Epstein's
Thanks,
Island is real. You
thanks.
go, yeah, thanks, Alex Jones. Yeah. And then you go, oh, fuck. That it's not the, no, they don't have the armies of chariots. They have much more like dark evil shit now. And you start to look at the symbolism of like AI as the
Yeah,
Antichrist, and you go, oh, this is fucking realer than it's ever been. It used to just be they'd get together and rub blood on each other and like fuck kids in a dungeon. And it's like, and talk about cracking the veil and bringing in a demon. And it's like, well, now they're actually building these fucking crazy like quantum computers that all look eerily like Medusa or some shit. And you're like, oh man, like they are getting closer to like actual Hogwarts, Lord of the Rings, like black magic than we've ever been in human. We're like, they were so primitive back then. It's like, dude, they're actually dragons used to be an idea. Now we actually have like flying death machines. Like, oh
we have
dude,
like blue beam drag
we
project.
actually have like all seeing eyes of like surveillance of like watching this, watching our phones, watching you through it all. And you're like, this isn't symbolism anymore. It used to be stained glass windows and chants in Latin. Now it's real. Like
Yeah,
now
well,
it's real.
yeah, and I mean, you know what? I like that Julian Assange quote I saw some time ago where things will never change. Or people keep talking about our society changing, but things will never change unless you have transparency. Because I forget how he said it. It was well said, but that most people don't even know our society operates behind a veil of secrecy. Like, how can you change society if you don't know
Yeah.
how most of its major institutions even work? And how could you when they're created to shield all of it from
Yeah.
you? Unless you're really thinking about it and going down a rabbit hole. And even then, a lot of people who do that just fucking end up joining the Raelians or like becoming part of whatever new Manson cult spin-off is around today, which I think gets us into actually, I mean, that's part of the story in The Food of the Gods, this article that I wrote. I ask at a certain point, are we the family? Because when you look at how the Manson family, the formation of it,
Mm-hmm.
and all the early ritualistic stuff that went into it around psychedelics, and like there is this book, I actually have it, Stranger in a Strange Land. It's a sci-fi book, and when you start, uh, they go to Mars, promise of like they develop mystical powers. They have rituals, shared love, and whatnot. And well, it's not that far from what's today. Dropping DMT, open relationships, and like playing the bongos, and like man is going to ascend to higher levels of consciousness through doing that. And then it's like, well, no, no, this isn't new. They were doing this like 2,000-3,000 years ago. You're not ascending anywhere. You're descending, if anything. Um, but so yeah, so there's a lot of this stuff, but then it's like there's nothing new under the sun.
Yeah.
In the same, we say, sure, maybe the bad guys are stronger than they've ever been, but and at the same time, the devil does always overplay his hands. right? If we're going to say that things aren't changing, then let's make sure that applies for all the things that are
Yeah.
things, right?
Yeah.
So the bad guys are still against natural law. What they're doing is evil, is sin more, if not. I mean, some of it's got to be we need a new word. We really do. But it's still, the bad guys have been beat before, right? These evil death cults, and you can see like they are starting to let it all hang out,
Mm-hmm.
and the upper managers are just not what they used to be. You know, when you see how a lot of the world, like the Eurasian economic unions and the BRICS and all these things, like most of the world population is not part of that rules-based order that we've always heard about, and people are jumping ship. So the bad guys don't really, like, I wouldn't want to be in their shoes right now thinking about like how do we win this one. It's not looking good, but we have to zoom out enough to see the bigger picture, right? So I think a lot of us have been conditioned to see everything from like our little Mediterranean transatlantic sort of focal point, and we don't really know about other cultures. You know, like Iran is, I mean, this is one of the original empires. Like these guys go back. You know,
Yeah.
they're not about to just like be subdued and enslaved.
They're not an
But
upstart, yeah, by a bunch of fucking American new boys on campus.
same with Russia, same with
China,
China.
dude,
So
China, think of how old China is. Not sorry to interrupt. Look at us, dude. I mean, we're what, 1776 to now? In 3 years, we'll be at 250 years old.
yeah, we were
Like,
like the cool
we're a
white kid
jock
in high
on
school.
campus. We're a new
Exactly.
jock. We're a fucking freshman who's playing on the varsity team. And he, again, granted, he's a bit gifted for being this young, but you got this fucking old guard there that are going like, don't worry, we'll make sure that like we break his legs. Like he's fun now. He's taking everyone's girl. Yeah, keep waiting, buddy.
Well, in fact, that's the thing that'll destroy him. In that, I mean, this guy's gonna be proud. He's
Yes.
gonna he's gonna start to balloon a bit. Thinks he can
Uh-huh.
just drink like an animal. You know, past his mid 20s. By the time he's 30, he looks kind of shitty,
Yeah.
and he hasn't cultivated any of the deeper things. Right? He never loved wisdom. Like that wasn't something that he had a visceral desire to attain early on, and you need these things early on, right? That's, I think, as well how we fix things. Like children use felt thoughts. Like we want to create a visceral connection to goodness, to beauty, to truth in these things, which seem like abstract things, but only if you don't have a genuine desire for them. And so Mr. Jock here, I mean, if he didn't have that, and it's going to show in his face, it's going to show in his body and soul at a certain point. And so that's why, you know, we do want to play all these things out. I think it always helps to play things out, our lives, thought experiments, you know, shit we might want to do, play it out. Maybe we don't want to do it once we played it till the end. Shit we didn't think we wanted to do, play it out. Maybe we play it out. You know, that actually sounds better than the other dumb idea I had. Maybe this one's less dumb. Same thing with Western civilization. You know, play it out. There were bad death cults, evil things. There was, you know, striving for philosophy, justice, wisdom. The states, the city states got crushed. The ideas live on, right? They found a new home, and you see that people who have this higher historical sense of identity, then yeah, maybe things around us don't seem to change that fast like that. But when we zoom out, you know, there are major changes that we can choose to sort of be a part of, or you know, continue to just live in the, you know, new world order mindset, sort of cybernetic uh, shit cyclone, which, you know, then we're not creative, we're not happy, and we have no ability to really um, connect with other human beings in a meaningful way as well. And all we have is altering our states of consciousness and fucking around with chemicals, whether McDonald's, and Wendy's bacon cheese or whatever, the latest DMT strand that now is like you're psychedelically tripping without tripping, or it's only when you close your eyes that it hits you, or some like new innovation,
Yeah.
which pretty much like, is that really what we want to look forward to? Just some new drug that's like gonna like give us a slightly different high? Like, isn't that what a drug addict is? Like, they just
Yeah.
look forward to like just obsess about all little details, and they just talk about it all day, and like, what are we doing? There are bad guys, and I once heard, was a quote, the only um or the only real form of truth are polemics against evil, something like that, which I like. Like, great art is all about contrasts, right? If you watch any great movie, see any great piece of art, there's always got to be some light and shadow somehow, right? There's always got to be a contrast between depth and sort of that. That's where the ideas emerge. And same in life, right? Like, by acknowledging the real darkness, but the real one, not in this weird shamanic gnosis, like, yeah, embrace the darkness, man. Um, that was my impersonation of the shamanic witch. Um, but the real one, then actually life is more interesting, because then we start to think about like what's a meaningful role. And sometimes, sometimes that just, hey, actually have like, as Tim Dillon says, like start a family, have 5 kids, have like a decent job, like do the things that the bad guys ultimately don't want, people to have. And the more people do that, they'll have nice lives, right? They'll have genuinely nice lives. It's because people aren't doing these things because they're distracted by all the craziness. And we're all looking for ways to escape the craziness, that we end up like making things worse,
Hmm.
instead of like remembering the simple truth, right? That the bad guys wish us to forget.
The
One take.
Yeah, no, the thing that always kind of gets me is like, and we might be circumventing it somewhat soon with like extreme longevity, biogerontology, shit that will make stem cells look like old hat. I mean, if we do approach that, this point's moot. But one interesting thing is right now, and for all of history up till this point, there is something kind of wild that doesn't matter how fucking rich you are, you still die. Like you can live longer, you can have better medicine, obviously, security, and while alive, you can have great wealth and luxury. But there is something very crazy that even the even the kings still just die. And there's
Yeah.
something wild about that. And that you can just sort of outlast them. And we're all playing these roles, but ultimately the whistle goes off and recess is over. And that's one thing that always gets me is like, it's not even go have a family and have kids because the bad guys don't want it. It's like, do it because you have X amount of time anyway. Like you can
Right.
go, we're talking about like empires and civilizations and lasting hundreds of years and thousands of years, and this and that, and changing the rise of Christianity or the fall of Rome. It's like these things all are on such massive timelines that your 80 years on this planet at best, you're only ever going to see a fraction of a piece of a wave. You're not even going to see the whole crest and trough. That
Right.
doesn't mean like stand by the wayside and do nothing. Like it's good to go kill Hitler, but there is something that it's like do what you want, not even because of some deeper, it's the right thing to do and it's for the empire. It's like, dude, if you see a girl you love and you want to have kids and just raise them, just do it. I mean, maybe you're in ancient Greece or maybe you're in 2023 fucking New York. Just do it. Because ultimately, this entire country might just be a random footnote in an obscure textbook in 10,000 years. So not even for like a deeper philosophical thing of like fight the globalists and the death cults. It's like do it because you want to. Like it, and
It's
there's some
it's
peace in that.
it's not bad advice. I mean, I saw actually a interesting little clip. Twitter, right? You see all sorts of different things. I don't even know how I saw it. I think I follow some Orthodox channels. You know, not because I'm Orthodox Christian, but I think it's interesting and useful sometimes. And there's just one, you know, that I don't get the whole beard thing half the time, but you know, the longer your beard is, the more sort of ascended you are or something. I don't know.
Of course,
But
those are the rules.
huh?
I said those are the rules.
Those are the rules. Yeah, I
The
know.
more beads and tattoos and robes, the more ascended you are.
Right.
It's very simple,
And
actually.
and yet what one of them said was yeah, the you kid was talking to him, go to father like for advice. I mean, you know, it was about like what do I do with my life? And so the priest was like, well, what do you like to do? He's like, well, you know, I like to do this and da da da. And but I also, you know, I want to do this and or I like this. And then I think, well, maybe though this is more important and da da da. And so then the priest said, okay, well, you said all these things that you like to do. Well, pick one. Like, which of the things do you like to do the most? And he says, do that thing with as with it, you know, the best you can with all your energy and passion and will. And, you know, if it's not right, you know, God will let you know and you move on. And it's not bad advice, you know, in the sense that like go for the thing. And, you know, if you're present and you're paying attention, it may or may not be the right thing. But like the point is, so we're able to receive cues, we're able to receive feedback, but we're also listening to that higher voice. That's how we get anywhere, you know? So it's like, it's the people who live illusions who, you know, they don't get the message, they don't get the memo. Bad things happen when, you know, the magic starts to fade. Um, so what did you say? Yeah, the whistle. You said like do the things that you want to do, you know. And yeah, that makes sense in a certain point, right? If we don't, we have to discover our own individuality, and at the same time, you know, at the same time, fall in line, right? I like that Tim Dillon quote from Joe Rogan where he says, you know, like everybody's obsessed over like a dream, like America's been sold a dream. And so there's all sorts of like these comedians living on floors and like they have no job or family and they walk dogs. And he's like, you know, some people are just, you know, supposed to fall in line. And it obviously says it for comedic effect, but we all have to fall in line to a certain degree. But that doesn't mean don't have dreams, right?
Mm.
And so I guess the fuck up is if we just go for one without the other, and you know either we just fall in line and we're just like really aggressively normie and like building seven doesn't exist. It's not a
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
um or we're sort of like transcendent, you know, we're at a point where we're just like dropping acid once a week and like I don't know, whatever our business is that we're trying to develop, you know, like going hard with the
Yeah.
like I don't know what you self-actualizing sort of
Yeah.
hierarchical
Yeah.
transcending consciousness is like, hey man, like you're doing too many drugs is the
Yeah.
problem at this point. And you're these are not your ideas. Like this is in the ether, this like
It's an archetype.
self-actualization consciousness stuff.
It's not yours. Yeah.
This is new age occult shit.
Yeah.
They're not your ideas. Like
Yeah.
this is my aunt and her tarot cards is like that's a very minor expression of it, but they're also not, you know,
It's
like
it's not your idea. The fact that you can go online with a Visa card and purchase a ticket to Burning Man shows that it's not the real thing.
right,
Right? Like it's
right,
I'm not shitting on that. I'm sure Burning Man's fun, but it's not yours. This isn't your This isn't your thing of like, I want to fucking do this. Like, it's the fact that we all know what it is. The fact that we can just go, you know what I'm talking about? The beard, barefoot, hippie girl with dreads and weird rune tattoos. We all go, yeah, yeah. It's not a thing. It's you choose it. It's no more or less of a thing than being the square jawed jock with the fucking lifted truck.
Yeah.
It's a thing. It's not yours. So have it, go have fun with it, but it's not yours, right? It's
At least, yeah, at least be humble, right? Like, yeah, at least be aware. We should know where our ideas are coming from. Very few people have original ideas or thoughts, right?
hmm,
So most of our ideas aren't ours. I think what matters though is, do we know where our ideas are actually coming from? And you see that the people who actually know and are aware, um, who are online, let's say, they know where their ideas come from. The normies, they have tons of ideas, but they're just not theirs. They've just been patterned, right? There's all sorts of inputs, entertainment, family life, all these things, and they're largely just, you know, the output of all these inputs, right? And that's what's sad, because they have all sorts of ideas, capitalism and competition, and you're like, yeah, okay, but and you don't want to bother, right? Uh, with those folks, but and now I'm sounding a bit, that's not true, right? Because at the same time as I'm saying this, a lot of what we call people who are normies, I mean, they have something deeper inside, but
hmm,
it hasn't. You can see when you talk, right? Tim Dillon gave the example, like you see when you talk to somebody and you see it in their eyes that they don't know who they are,
hmm.
but it's not that they're not a real person, right? But they've been in an environment that's, there wasn't maybe that thing, like why did we come online? Why did some people come online and
And why did
others?
others not?
I'm happy with that remaining a bit of a mystery, in the sense of being humble, you know, that we should remain humble, like what allowed us to get where we are, um, and the awareness is the humbling thing, I think, right? And so same for the ideas that we have, and so that, yeah, we don't just talk like, oh well, this is what I think. Well, let me tell you what I think, right? And like these are the worst people, right? It's the, yeah, let's put it this way, it's the acute lack of awareness that is what's so offensive,
Hmm.
right? When you meet somebody who's so acutely unaware and yet very, very confident and proud, that's not a good look, right? And so I'd rather be humble and sort of try to understand where my ideas come from, where my society comes from, where we come from. And then it becomes easier to think about problem solving because we actually know where things are coming from. And that gives us an idea of where things are going, and therefore what things might, be better off changed, what things are better off staying the same. But if we don't have that humility or that flexibility in our mind, we're just like patterned, inputs and outputs. That's what a archetypal normie is, at least. So yeah, I don't want to be that either, right?
I almost think it'd be you can't fake it, and because we're aware of it, by definition, we can't be it. But I mean, it's got to be fun to be unaware and confident. That's
Yeah.
got to be a fun ride. It's like you never want to be the friend that's like drunker than everyone else. But if you ever have been that guy, you are having more fun than everyone else. Now, granted, it's at their expense, and the next day you regret it.
Yeah.
But in terms of like being in that moment, it's got to be fun to not think you're right, but to know you're right. That's got to be a good subjective drug to be like, let me fucking tell you, self righteousness, and be like, let
Right.
me fucking tell you, you two dumb white males sitting
Pray
here.
for your neighbors.
That's what I mean. Like, I just, there's got to be something good about going on there and be like, all right, listen up, Twitter. Let me tell you how it is. That's got, I bet that's probably subjectively enjoyable to have no doubt that
Yeah, sure.
this is the
Yeah.
way things are. You're a
It,
horrible person and you will rightfully eventually be shot. But before that happens, man, that's got to be good to just wake up and know you're right, to know that this political party's wrong. These ones are
right,
angels. This is a bad guy. He's the good guy. These are our allies. These are not. These are
right,
the right ideas, and these are not. And fuck them. And these are my people.
right,
This music is objectively good. That music, it's got to
right,
be, there's got to be a piece in just being
right,
so certain and not out of fear where you're uncertain so you're doubling down, but I mean truly like, no, this is just what it is. This is better music. Like those people, right? Anyone with half a brain goes, let's David likes that. I'm just using David really likes the Beatles and I really like Eminem, right? But hey, that's for him and this is for me. He enjoys Hey Jude. I enjoy, Lose Yourself. But it's different strokes, different you don't want to be that. You want to be, you like fucking what? How about I put on some real music for you? Like, there's got to be something enjoyable about
right. Well,
being so certain that 1+1 is 3, and those who disagree with you need to be beheaded. I bet it's
well,
not.
as Tim Dillon said, actually, he's like, well, it's fun to see people lean in. That's
Yeah.
definitely exciting, right? He gave the example of his uncle who told him once, like, I have no problem with your lifestyle. And Tim Dillon's like, thanks. I guess I should just die of AIDS, on the floor right now. Uh, but he's like, I like when people lean in a bit. And it's like,
Yeah.
you know what?
You
If
know
you're
where
gonna
they
take
stand.
those positions, then yeah, at least lean in.
Yeah.
At least like go for it all the way. Because
Yeah.
then it is fun.
Yeah.
Don't be an average normie.
Don't be
At
wishy
least
washy.
be an aggressive normie at a and at that way you almost become like a threat because you're so aggressively normie that it's like, fuck, this is kind of scary. Like I'm
Yeah.
actually take it seriously because he's just so aggressively normie. God love them, as Tim
Yeah.
Dillon would say. But yeah, at least lean in. If you're gonna deny building 7, if that's not even a thing for you, like definitely then lean in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make it interesting for us. Okay, make it interesting for the other folks who are listening.
Yeah. Yeah. No, if you're gonna be a fundamentalist, don't don't do it quietly. I want to see you protesting the funerals of school shooting victims with signs that says God hates fags. Like that's
Right.
what doesn't make it right, but
Yeah.
fucking let's turn it up. If this is what we're doing, if this is what we're doing, like let's fucking go. Like, and there
Right.
is almost something. God, this is gonna fucking sound bad, but I was just thinking about everything you're saying with like, the ascended, the long beard, and the, I go to this and I'm on top of a mountain and I'm, I fucking I don't recognize English language. Like it's all so fake. The only thing that is real, and this is bad, but is is being like a terrorist or a serial killer that you're so far in. And it's not good. Don't I'm not condoning this.
It's very
But you look at that and
lean in, Tommy.
you
At
look at
this point,
that and oh yeah, at this point, fuck it. Yeah, let's go for it. I'll lean into the podcasting. It's like, man, someone that's willing to like get on a commercial airliner and like cut someone's throat and crash it into a building, you go, that's wow. That guy, that's not someone who downloaded their personality from a subreddit. You go, that guy just flew a plane into the Pentagon. You go, God damn. You go, that's wow. And it's bad.
ironically,
It's bad and they should be bombed. But man, that's fucking real. That's not someone who's like, I'm like even I'm and all right, I'm a white guy, American flag, right? I mean, I didn't what I have a watch that my parents gave me. I have an iPhone. You and I are talking about Tim Dillon, and I like, reading about the military. Like even that is like an archetype. I went to a private Catholic school. I was in a fraternity in college. As much as I like to shit on it, I'm still very much so. You can pretty much kind of see who I am, right? Man, there's something fucking real about like shooting up a school. That's
Well,
bad.
but
But
wait, but at the same time, even just as not the at the other end, at the same, the irony is that it's so extremely, yeah, like you'd say, like you definitely leaned in at this point. And it's like, wait, where did they get these ideas from? Like, wasn't this like, are they, as Tim Dillon said, are these the people who, got denied out of one,
yeah, program
military
and
program and just didn't get really denied, but just moved into something
into
else?
like a covert program.
And they're all like these psychotropic drug
Yeah.
sort of guinea pigs who,
Some Timothy McVeigh or James Holmes,
yeah,
like,
like they're saying, right? They're all on, like you can have a lot of side effects from like the antidepressants and stuff.
yeah.
Like, are these just, and is one of them just like you have, like they did, okay, let's do this actually. In the book, Charles Manson by Tom O'Neill, Charles Manson, the CIA and the Secret History of the 60s.
Huh.
David Smith, I believe his name was, if not, it was the other Smith that were over attending to Manson. One of them was doing experiments with rats, and the thing that they were looking at is when you were starting to dose the rats with speed, right, amphetamines, and the kind of cultures that would develop, especially in crowded cages. And they describe these weird phenomena where there would be these certain rats that would become like the psycho, like cult leaders that were slaughtering all like the other rats, that like the weak ones, the helpless ones. And these slaughterer rats who were like high on meth, they weren't like the alphas, they weren't like the betas, they were like the crazy whatever. They became crazy killer rats. And they were studying the behavior, and they called them think something, sync, like um, I forget what the word is, but there's like there's an effect, a psychological effect that takes place. And like, yeah, basically these rats start like having a reign of terror, terrorizing everybody else. And so the thing with the Manson family is, first it was like psychedelics, and they were looking at sequence, right? Like if somebody's first patterned, like how are they behaving under these kind of drugs in chemically altered states? Now you don't just look at one set of altered states. What happens when you start to sequence different kinds of altered states in different ways, right? And sequence different doses of different chemicals after different periods of patterning. And so, yeah, one of them was that, so people in San Francisco, in the Haight Ashbury Medical Clinic area and all that, first everything, the fad was psychedelics, right, which we know was sort of promoted by spread by the intelligence agencies, CIA and whatnot. But then there was another phase, which was the amphetamine phase, and all of a sudden, what was once a super peaceful peace and love thing, suddenly people start becoming violent, crime surged, and you start to get these wanton sort of like killings and slaughters. And so Tom O'Neill was just drawing the parallel, right, between the overall drug and cultural shifts and scene with these rat experiments that were being done by people that were, you know, working with the Manson family, that were treating the Manson family. And so you start to, there was something that you said that caused me, right. So these killers and the drugs, right? Like I just saw a clip, like this latest one, the trans killer whatnot was like on psychotropic drugs, and they
Mhm.
have a whole manifesto. And yeah, they have this whole like ready-made ideology, which just the language, like none of this is your language, like none of
Yeah,
these are words. Like this is like almost cut and paste shit, right? Like
yeah,
it's done in a, did you even write it? Did somebody else write it? But if you wrote it, uh, how were you exposed to this stuff exactly? And so you have to wonder, right? That in fact, these may be the most least real people,
yeah.
ironically, who do the worst, the most surreal or extreme real life things are like the most
The biggest NPCs.
least real, vapid, soulless people. Irony.
No, that
But
is, that is. Yeah, what is terrorism? You're gonna go kill the infidels. Who's the, is that really your thought? Or is it the same thing that people over the last 5,000 years have said? Oh, what? You're Arab and you, what a surprise. You want to go kill some Jews? Yeah, you're real original, bud. You know, oh, you smoke pot and listen to the Grateful Dead. Oh, wow. Check out this guy. What, you have long hair? Do you own a Volkswagen bus? Like you're not fucking.
congratulations, you're the new Che Guevara.
Yeah. Oh,
Congrats.
whoa, whoa. Let me. Oh, you're shooting up a school. Let me guess. Did you have a manifesto? Did you scribble it in a notebook?
Right.
You're so fucking unreal. Like that's what someone should say. Like, oh, you gonna what do you have? Do you have a gun? Are you making sure to wear some crazy stuff? Like, you're right. I think Ray Kump said it. He goes like, kill two people, but do it in a crazy way. Like wear all pink and use a bow and arrow. He goes, you walk. He goes, yeah, and Tim goes, yeah. He goes, do you know how original you are when you're walking through the hallways with an AK-47? Do you realize how unoriginal you? Let me guess, you're gonna go shoot up math class. Like, do you know how much of a fucking bitch you are? Like, use a machete and chop their ears off. Like, really make the news. He goes, Columbine, they had trench coats. They were matching. There's an aesthetic. Doesn't matter how many they killed. That's real. Be something real, right? That's what you want to be. So it's like, yeah, it's not real at all to crash a plane into a building. Like, oh, you're killing, oh, you're killing civilians and oh, you tried to get the highest body count ever. Like, that's not original. I mean, do something crazy like cross a country and like kill mall Santas every winter for like a decade. That's original.
That's gonna make the news.
Yeah,
Well,
kill some mall Santas, right? That's real. That's real. Do
and
something unique that no one else has ever done before, you know?
yes, and ideally, yeah, genuinely, genuinely unique. I guess is the or you know what we could actually say here. Enough of this obsession with novelty at the same time, right? And
Hmm.
like authenticity, right? That's the other. And this Tim Dillon always brings it back to
That's
this as
not
well.
even unique. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, like, just get in line, asshole. The idea that like everybody's got to be this super original and
That's a
authentic
great
person.
point.
Nobody who thinks like that is original and authentic.
Because everyone goes, I want to be unique. That's
Yeah,
not a
because
unique thought. Fuck.
yeah, that exact. That's
Is the
like
most unique thing. Do I shut down the podcast? Do you stop writing? Do we both go get cubicle jobs, get Priuses, I have a Civic close enough, go get married, have two kids, have a girl and a boy, and a dog named Spot, and take fall photos in our polos. Is that like the most hardcore thing you can do now? Is to just
I don't
fall in line?
it's becoming more hardcore. But why do we have to? Yeah, it's becoming more hardcore, and then at the same time, it's like, yeah, why? What's annoying? Why do people
Why do you
always
have to
have
be
to fall into
hardcore?
extremes? No, but why do people
Fuck.
have to fall into extremes? Right? Like, can't you have the dog named Spot, but also you yourself? have the personality, not necessarily work in a cubicle job, or maybe cubicle job is not. Yeah, maybe I maybe the problem isn't the cubicle job; it's the spiritual cubicle.
Uh,
Right? And like, there's a lot of people who can be genuinely like I've worked in cubicle-ish jobs, and yeah, I guess just to relate my own personal experience of it, yeah, people are limited so oftentimes, but there's also a lot of like decent, good human beings there. And I think part of it is that, yeah, because our society is sick, like people who could have much more uh, cultivated sort of worldviews and self images. I mean, like, think of the culture. I guess I'd put it this way, right? Like, you have a 9 to 5 job. That's perfectly fine. You know, as Ray Comp said, like, you have a hobby. You know, you had a chemistry set when you were little. Now you have like trains in a bottle. You build train
yeah,
models. God bless. Like
yeah,
that's actually refreshing. If I meet my next door cubicle buddy, is sort of he likes Tim Dillon. He has a, you know, he builds model trains. He has a couple kids and a dog and a wife. That's actually kind of refreshing compared to a lot of what we're meeting today. But at the same time, that's the point, that that person doesn't need to be in a spiritual cubicle just because they work at a cubicle from
yeah.
9 to 5. If it's just your 9 to 5 cubicle, that's perfectly fine. It's really it's everything else, or it's how you bring it together. And the problem is, you know, as the proverb goes, where there is no vision, the people perish. There's no vision. So the 9 to 5 cubicle becomes a spiritual cubicle.
Hmm.
And I think that's what we truly must escape, is not the cubicle uh, itself, but the spiritual cubicle. And if we can do that, then everything else will start to, you know, fall into place. And then I think we start to get an intimation of true transcendence. You
Hmm.
know, like there's nothing wrong with getting in line or falling in line, but that doesn't mean. And at the same time, you know, talking about building 7, you can chew, walk, and chew gum, right?
Yeah.
Like, is that so hard? Like, isn't
No,
that
no.
easier?
The more you're
Isn't that
talking,
easier than the other ones?
the more you're talking about it, the more I'm like, yeah, to go get a cubicle job is those are the smartest people. Like, take advantage of the last 10 millennia of advancement. You don't have to go kill a tiger. You can just ride to work on autopilot, listening to the fucking podcast
You
and
don't even
walk
have
in.
to ride to work. We work from home now, man.
Yeah. And you
Get
just
with the
go in, you
company.
just sign on and you make a living. I think the takeaways is like, don't do anything. Just do what you want. Like, it shouldn't matter whether or not you're one of one or one of a billion. If it's like that's the thing. Like, I love McDonald's. I don't give a shit if McDonald's is a hole in the wall restaurant that there's only one of, or if there's 19 trillion franchises worldwide. A fucking McChicken with some fries, I'll take it all day long. I don't give a shit if I'm the only one that eats it or if it is the most normie meal. I'll fucking take it every time. Like, and that's okay. So it shouldn't be like, well, I don't want to do this or I don't want it. It's like, dude, there's a reason why the average thing is to just go have a 9 to 5 and a wife and a house in suburbia because it's nice. It's convenient. The dog is sweet. The kids are cute. Fucking you have a couple beers on Friday night. And that's kind of
That's,
brilliant.
yeah, and you can
Why
do all that without, you know, um, having to, you know, and still be like, yeah, they shot JFK, you know.
that's
Um,
actually maybe the coolest thing you can do is to have that whole life. And then when someone like you or me is like, man, they're normies, and you just see Bob from accounting sitting there, at night, watching the kids play, and he's like, yeah, I don't know. They probably use directed energy weapons to bring down the two towers because they are satanic pedophiles. And then just like watch SNL.
That's ref-
That's fucking cool.
that's
That's
refresh.
actually cooler than anything I've ever done.
It'd be pretty refreshing at this point.
To be like that normal and then to have someone like swipe your card at Chick-fil-A and have them be like, do you think COVID is just a modern Nazi euthanasia or a Nazi eugenics program just to depopulate the planet so the rich can run amok anyway and like just hand you your meal? That's kind of cool.
That's the world I want to live in.
That's
Uh, that's the one I try to propagate as well. That I say crazy shit as for fun all the time, just like that.
yeah.
Just to see people's. You want to, a real life one. So at my job, sometimes my day job, this is kind of funny. I won't go into all the details, but I'll have to call people, and sometimes there's a system glitch or whatnot. Welcome to the whole system glitch. Um, or I'll just say, or like people complain about wait times or whatnot, and or like the system didn't work, and I'll say, well, the chips for our brains aren't ready, right? If the systems are still glitching at this point,
Yeah.
and I just say it's like perfect
Just throw
timing,
it
like
out.
the person's complaining, half the time they laugh, and like, oh, that they're like, because that was like they're
Good point.
like I'm talking to a semi normie, right? And
Yeah.
so they're getting a kick out of that one though if they're cool.
Yeah.
Uh, and then the other ones, it's like dead silence, uncomfortable, and like way too real. Like that,
Yeah.
you're not supposed to make that kind of joke, but it's funny. It's generally because they're like complaining about like, oh, burn, and I'm like, yeah, well, that's how you know the chips for our brain aren't ready.
Yeah.
Uh, um,
I
so
like
yeah,
that.
that's actually a fun world to live in. It's way more interesting, and you get to size people up that way without without going too extreme, right? Like with a light touch, you can size people up a lot better and in a much funner way than if we go, like if I'm like blaring Alex Jones
Yeah. It's
with the whole theme music, like pounding my eardrums at the same time.
me and my
But at the
maintenance
same time, that is fun.
me and my maintenance guy will talk about Project Bluebeam and QAnon, like as he's like putting in like a new filter in
That's
like the
great.
air conditioner, and we'll just be talking, and it's like we're just doing the most vanilla shit. He's like, anyway, he's like, you gonna sign the lease again? I'm like, yeah, I think I'm gonna stay here. It's like, oh, it's like love to see you, man. He's like, yeah, see you around. And it's like, and we're also just talking about like, oh, do you think they're gonna fake an alien invasion to impose global martial law? And it's like, I don't know. I don't know if they're ready for that. And he's like, by the way, he's like, see how you have to jiggle the handle? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, that's what's causing the noise in the fridge. I'm like,
Buddy,
oh,
that's beautiful.
yeah,
That's how our world is interesting.
yeah, that is
Our
interesting.
world life is not boring. How come like if
That's
we're having kind of conversations with our fucking maintenance guy, and I've had similar conversations
yeah,
with my maintenance guy, not about the aliens, but about global warming death cults.
yeah,
I'll be screaming, half laughing, but like about the like global warming death
yeah,
cults. Like, I'm across like the garage in
yeah,
the basement, and he's just like he still believes there's some legitimate
yeah.
warming, and I'm like, just you wait and see,
I'm like, no,
in a fun way.
yeah,
And we live in an interesting time.
I had the guy fucking delivering my couch like last December. He came in and I had to like sign for it. And in like the 5 minutes we were talking, it ended with like agree to disagree. Like, I think nukes are real and he thinks they're fake. And it was just like kind of funny that I'm just like signing for the thing. He's like, it's great talking. I was like, you too. And it's just like in that brief moment of like me going down, like letting him into the building and he's putting up the couch on a dolly. He's like, no, I just don't think they're real. I think it's just a threat to keep us in line. And I'm like, I don't know, man. It seems like the evidence there that they're real. And I'm like, what about these like videos of nuclear tests? He's like, those could be doctored. I'm like, gee, I get. And as I'm just like signing for this thing, and it's just like we just both had such a break from reality. Like we should be in straitjackets. But like anyway,
Right.
like that guy's gonna go get in a truck and drive that around. And I'm like, huh,
God bless.
that's a guy in a fucking 10,000 a 10,000 pound metal truck full of gasoline doesn't think nuclear weapons are real. And like the guy that's in charge of like the gas going to my apartment is on board with like, yeah, I don't know, are they gonna fake an alien invasion to cover up, the fact that, everyone's getting wise to the idea that they eat children. And it's
Right.
a prudent move. And he has keys to my apartment.
We
I like
were
that.
we were at a nice, decent restaurant, me and some friends, and I was talking really loudly about blood sucking vampires,
Yeah.
like blood sucking vampire pedophile cults, and like the other nice couples and stuff could hear us. It was very funny.
Yeah.
Um, but to bring it all together, I mean, Tim Dillon, prophet of modern age,
Yeah.
once on Joe Rogan, he was just saying, people who are like spazzing out about, he's like, we're at the end of something, right? I won't go full, uh, yeah, I won't go black pill. I'll go white pill if anything. We're at the end of something, but the end of what and what comes after that, still to be decided. But what are you going to do? Just like worry about what DARPA's doing all the time, as Tim
Yeah.
Dillon would say? Have a burger,
Yeah.
enjoy yourself a bit. And, at the same time, DARPA must be destroyed. We can
At
hold
the
both
same time,
thoughts.
they are modern warlocks.
Yeah, we can hold both thoughts in our head. Have a burger. DARPA's going to do what DARPA's going to do. At the same time, the vampire cults must be destroyed.
Yeah.
And I'll get back to work, everybody.
Yeah.
You know,
It's like, yeah, I still got to make sure I fucking pay rent by like the third day of the month. Like, you know, the government probably had a decent idea that 9/11 was going to happen if they outright didn't do it. But dude, I got to fucking put, rent's due. There is something. I think I was with my little brother and we were like throwing a bone to his dog, Hank. And I was like, I think they did 9/11. He's like, I don't, but I think he's like, now that I'm older, I imagine they probably thought it was going to happen and they let it happen. And I was like, that's interesting. I was like, I just don't see how those towers come down from a steel plane. And he was like, well, I think that's where we maybe disagree. And then like his wife calls us in because like dinner's ready.
there we go.
That's a
God bless.
that's a fun level of insanity.
Welcome to America. Yeah, that's
What a beautiful
that's Americana. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
that is. It's not Norman Rockwell. It's talking about I believe in Project Bluebeam, but not satanic pedophiles. And you say you're in for both as we're at the fucking like gas station. That's
yeah.
that.
Or the having the tuna casserole that the wife made. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. And just saying, like, I think it's kind of comical that they also eat the kids. Why not just fuck them? I like
That's
that is our
there's no moderation.
That's our Norman Rockwell. In 50 years, they'll look back at this the same way that Twitter fascists look back at the Roman Empire, and they'll be like, "That's when things were right." Is when you could
Right.
sit around with a friend at Applebee's and talk about whether there were charges in the buildings or whether they just brought them down, but the planes themselves were remote controlled.
Yeah, I mean those were the good old days, as Tim
They'll
Dillon.
say they'll say that they'll be like, "That's when it was a fuck. That's when we were a proper country."
Yeah, when like Fox News was just like hardcore, like war on Arabs, like
Yeah,
Iraq's gonna destroy us if
yeah,
we don't destroy them, and
yeah.
like people are just honking their horns, like
Ray
9/11.
Kump driving around, just honking his horn, singing the national anthem. Like,
Those were the good old days. But yeah, the magic can't last forever. Right?
yeah, it will be yearning for a time when you could just have a quiet schizophrenic break from reality at CVS. I feel much better after this talk.
I think it's I think the other side's gonna be interesting. I
Yeah.
actually think it's something just new will happen at
Yeah.
this point, right? Because we know this can't continue like this.
No.
The maintenance guy, and we're talking Project Bluebeam and da da da. Like you can't
The cat's too
linearly,
much out of the bag.
yeah, like that's not gonna just keep going linearly forever.
No.
I don't
No.
know that it's gonna get. It means things will get worse though. I'm in a white pill.
No, so am I. It's
I
something new is gonna happen.
Yeah, and so that's exciting.
Maybe it's Bluebeam. Maybe QAnon's real and maybe there are good guys. But no, you're right. The Titanic can't sink forever. Right?
I
Maybe
think
it's
that's
not sinking, maybe it's rising, but it can't happen forever. Right?
it can't happen forever.
This
No.
can't this can't there's no stasis of us casually talking about the pedophile cults while like me and my buddies game. Like there's a
Yeah.
breaking point. I just don't know what it is.
Either Jesus is going to appear in the blue beam or he's not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At a certain point, we're going to have to, yeah.
I like
God
it, man.
bless.
I feel much better actually.
Yeah, I think we made it to the other side.
I think we did. And just right there, then you just see the flash as the fucking nuke just
Right.
and then just that's the end. We can hope. I said we wrap this up, Dave.
Inshallah.
That was enjoyable. I like that. I feel I feel much better at just how it's not that I feel any less unstable, it's that I realize nobody's stable. And like that's kind of beautiful. We're all in the head of a pin.
We want a bit of disruption.
Yeah.
It's good for creativity and spirit.
It is
Look,
interesting
everything's too
knowing.
stable, people just get shitty.
Yeah.
They get too comfortable, and that's why we're here in the first place. People got too comfortable. Isn't that the truth?
It is kind of interesting when you think about like I'm not entirely sure if we will have another presidential election. That's fun.
Yeah, that's actually
That's not just like this is the most important election. It's like, oh, shut up. The fact that people are like, I don't know if 2024 is going to happen, and you're like, I think it will, but I see where you're coming from. Like, gun to my head, I'm not going to say it will happen. I don't know that. I'm not that confident. That's interesting. The fact that we all kind of know that World War III is starting, but like, I'm still going to call my mom after this. And, you know, this entire time we've been talking, I've been thinking about like a chocolate protein bar I have that I'm also going to eat.
Right.
But like, we kind of know World War III is starting. Everyone knows China's going to take Taiwan. It's starting in Asia, in Europe with Ukraine, and the Middle East holy war's kicking off. And 2024 election is not going to happen. There is no southern border, and God knows what DARPA is doing. But
yeah, we're have to. Yeah, what's that actually going to look like?
But we're also still all kind of getting ready for like Thanksgiving. Like,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's almost Christmas. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm almost in the Christmas spirit at this point. I got my Christmas
Yeah.
sweaters almost. Like, I'm like, yeah, I'm just a couple days away from like reaching for like the green Christmas sweaters at this point. Beautiful.
But we all know in the back of our minds that it wouldn't be that crazy if an emergency action or emergency alert system text came on that there's been a nuclear flash over Tel Aviv. But
Right.
you know, you also got to stay hydrated because you're sick.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Just don't keep too much. Yeah, like have more than one bank account at least. If you're not gonna, don't keep too much.
Yeah.
In the banking system.
Yeah. No, you should own gold and a gun.
Diversify a bit, for the love of God, diversify.
You should own gold and a gun, but you should also make sure you have enough money to pay like the next couple months of rent. I like that. This is fun.
Smart. You're smart.
This is fun, actually. I feel better. Thank you, David. I do feel better. I wasn't sure what I was feeling today, but I feel a little more relieved. Or not, I don't know. Guys, please go into the description, go to his Substack and go subscribe, and you know, give the man some money. All right, he's dying of Fauci. The fact that it's like half a joke when we say we've got the new Fauci bioweapon in us, but we're actually not sure. Is it just a seasonal cold or is it the newest fucking DARPA bioweapon? Like, that's kind of fun.
Weird.
All right, David, let's wrap this one up, dude. I'm gonna call my mom and go eat that protein bar.
Well, guys. It was nice chatting, and yeah, we'll be in touch.
Till next time. God bless everybody. Please go check them out. What?
Down with DARPA. Stay safe.
DARPA has to go, but also, you know, Christmas is coming. So there's that. All right, David. Till next time, man. Guys, please go check him out in the description. Go to his Substack. Till next time, brother. Thank